Welcome to another episode of The Little Drummer Girl. Today's guest is Conga Kurty, Curtis Parsons from the HIRIE Band. Conga Kurty's in the house, everyone.
How have you been?
I've been good. It's been busy. I just launched my book, so I'm finally getting that done. So that feels great because it's 5 years in the making, and it's just been insane. But we don't have that much time together, so I just wanted to ask a few questions because I want the guys out there to know what you're up to. And this is, by the way, I didn't even get to do a formal introduction, but this is Conga Kurty, Curtis Parsons from the HIRIE Band, and he's the percussionist. And I have to tell you, he freaking rocks. So let's get moving and grooving. So tell me, I know that you guys are kind of like in quarantine right now, but I heard a few months ago that you guys had a new release. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, I mean, I guess it would be a few months ago. This more like 5 or 6 months ago now. I'm kind of losing track of time. But it was a new album called Dreamer. And was just amazing. So much stuff. I think the last time we talked, Dreamer hadn't quite came out yet. We were still working on it, and mostly the work behind it was Patricia and her whole team. I have the easy job. Well, after they do all like the hard part, they'll bring it up and ask me to nice it up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's a total blessing to work with some of the people that were on the album and the producer. Danny Collab, and he's done stuff with like Beck, and Patricia actually went to, I want to say Texas, or like it's called like a reggae recording ranch, and she brought some pretty heavy musicians with her to record like the basic bass of it. Nobody that was from the band, but just to do something a little bit different and get some different variation, and it turned out really well. I like the album a lot.
That sounds pretty amazing. You guys have anything on the horizon for touring? Did they say anything about like future dates or anything like that?
Well, we do have dates, and we do have stuff scheduled. I know that we were supposed to do some things in October, like I think it was Cali Roots, and I think, Vegas Roots, and a couple other ones. So what's happening in the music scene is they're all rescheduling. And they're doing it for a number of different reasons. There's like the refund aspect. There's all kinds of stuff happening. But they're rescheduling with high hopes that the concerts will still happen, that music will still keep on going. But, with me knowing a lot of people kind of on the inside, I really believe it's going to be throughout the whole summer and probably the year, from what it sounds like to me, before we see any real bigger festivals. I think they're first going to start to bring on smaller little bar venues, which would be good for a lot of bands that play in smaller venues. Sure. And that's what it sounds like. But the big, almost sounding like they're going to just like try to do away with those entirely, which is pretty sad. But I'm sure they're going to figure out some kind of club to get us together, whether if we're wearing masks or, the future is kind of unknown with the music right now.
I know, it's scary. It really is. And I know you guys are coming in to do the reggae festival, and it just happened like 2 weeks before it was supposed to go up, and I was so bummed out because I know we had scheduled an interview to do together, and that's when I'm like, well, the hell with it, I'm getting you on Zoom because I don't want to wait until I see you again, so we're going to get you on now. They said in October it's supposed to happen, but I'm hoping, like you say, maybe everybody wears a mask and they just do the right things, and we can actually have a great time and party on. Because I miss it. I miss music. I miss the shows. I miss you guys. I think that we can learn from this, and I think it's almost like the world is cleansing itself by this happening. So I'm hoping that it's going to be a good thing in the end. I think it's going to bring a lot of families together that maybe didn't have time to spend together, and just friends in general. Like, we take things for granted so often that I think this maybe is a wake-up call for a lot of people to just be like, maybe I should do this some more. Maybe I should do some more of that, and actually, start to look within, and who knows what can come out of it. I think a lot of people can get some amazing, even career-wise, like somebody who's stuck in an office, doesn't want to be there, decides I'm going to do a side hustle, and, I've been doing that for years, but it's just one of those things, a lot of people don't think that they can do it, but maybe now they actually start to feel like they can do it, so I hope that it all has a benefit coming out of this craziness. So I'm hoping that your family, everybody's okay and safe. You
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
Are you in Hawaii now, or where are you?
I'm in Portland, Oregon.
In Oregon, okay.
Portland, Oregon. I moved up here in October from San Diego.
Nice.
I got this job opportunity to do like growing hemp, and I'm in the fields, and we're on 10 acres, and our heart overalls, in the morning,
Nice.
getting out in the fields, and
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. I've been wanting to get out there. I hear it's just so pretty up there. It's out there. Jesse, I know, has been wanting to get out there too, so maybe we can get out there together sometime and check it out. But
yeah, you guys, anytime.
Awesome. Thank you. Let me just ask, so our drumsters can find out, how did you get into percussion? How did you get started?
I started in the 6th grade and went to, it was like the first time we were getting like different classes, right? We had like, you had like different, I think it's periods, like 6 periods a day or something. And then each period was like a different class. So I had a music class, and then the music class, I wanted to be a drummer. The teacher said I didn't have the rhythm, and he told me if I go home and practice and I come back and I prove myself, that I will get the position. Took me about 2 weeks. I practiced it. I came back and I worked my way up the first chair. And by the 2nd year, I was in the specialty percussion on a full drum jazz kit. It was in the jazz band. Yeah, it was from there, rocking it.
I bet your teacher just ate his words on that one, didn't he? Not a smart thing for him to say.
Give him credit for it, because he was like, if I wouldn't have held you back, you wouldn't have tried so hard. So he's taking that in. What? I always had the rhythm. But
that's cool.
The other way that I got started in music was there was a band from Jamaica that came through my hometown where I went to high school in Tacoma, Washington, and they were called Ja Roots, and it was a family band from Jamaica, and they were playing at a small coffee shop, and I busted out my dashiki and my drum, and I was like just kind of hanging out, and they fucking loved it. And it's just kind of what happened with other bands is as soon as they hear some of the accents, they're like, hey, can you come to the studio next week? So that was kind of how that started. And then that's how I feel like a little kid on the school ground. You have to ask, hey, can I play? And they're just, all the big kids are like, wait your turn. And then when they finally let me, hey, this dude got some skills. Yeah, it's about, I definitely recommend that with anybody, no matter what it is that we're doing or that you're doing. I mean, it's like I get told no more often than I get told yes. And if it's something that you believe in, you love, my mom always told me, it's like, you can do anything you want. You can be anything you want. You can do anything you want. But obviously, the bigger your goals, the harder you're gonna have to work. And so, for real, like, I mean, that was one of those things where, and even still now to this day, I'm still like, pushing my way and work. You got to do it in a respectful, graceful way. And when it's your time to shine, you got to step up and hit your solo and nail it. But be ready for that, because like the shy thing, we're like, no, like you just kind of get pushed off to the side, and no one will ever really hear what you were put here to do. And I'm shy. I even being on the interview or anything, I'm like, I feel nervous, like all the time. But like, we have like this, and bigger, smaller, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Like, I got to push past my uncomfort zone to really create the goals and the manifestations that I'm really trying to make happen. And even now, still percussion, I was told no on so many levels, but I'm like, okay. No, my mom always said that too. She's like, no means maybe.
I love that.
And especially if it's something that lines your ethics and your integrity. Obviously there's no, that's, obviously there's a lot of good no's out there that you shouldn't be doing, like they'll be breaking the law and stuff like that. But when it comes to like your passion, your art, and your expression, don't ever let anybody tell you no. And that's what I'm still doing to this day. It's my art, it's my expression, and no one can do that.
That is fantastic, and thank you for saying that, because I'm sure so many people get frustrated or they quit too soon because they can't handle the rejection. And this whole business is nothing but rejection. There's a lot more rejection than like you say, you get a lot more no's than you get a yes. But I remember when I was in real estate, when I was 19, my manager was like, Dawn Marie, you're going to hear 100 no's before you hear your first yes. And I was like, aha moment, So from that point, I realized, like, don't take it personally. Just do your thing and keep, plugging away, because you never know. If you quit, it just could be right around the corner. And, why would somebody want to give that up when it could be had, and yes, and I always believe that, nothing good ever comes easy either. And we have to really, really push ourselves and keep the fire under our asses lit so that, you're going to just go ahead. Because if not, how easy it is to just start watching 10 episodes on Netflix and not practice and rehearse, get the blisters on your fingers or whatever it is you have to do to just make a success out of it. How did you end up getting the gig with HIRIE?
The gig with HIRIE was pretty cool.
Sorry.
We
I won't say that.
No worries. I was just, again, that was like a volunteer thing. I volunteered at the local festival at Cali Roots. It wasn't local for me, but it was like a, Monterey, California. And I just volunteered. I had my volunteer shirt on. And before I went, I made up all my percussion business cards from Vistaprint for free. And I took all these little percussion logos and put them all under the card. And everybody that got my cart or that I went to, I just smiled, said, hey, if you guys ever need any percussion, here you go. And again, that was one of those things. I passed out over 100 cards. And the only person that was took me seriously and put me right away was HIRIE's husband, Jamie. He's the manager for HIRIE. And we ended up just talking. They were talking about they're going to Cabo the following week. And I'd been living down there for 5 years. Wow. And he was like, hey, do you want to be in the music video at Cali Roots? And I was like, well, heck, could I get a card? I was like, well, hey, call me anytime. He said, because we're recording the official Cali Roots music video. I said, right on. I was like, let me go talk to my shift leader and make sure that this is cool. Because, and he was like, absolutely. I love HIRIE. That's a great opportunity. So I took my shirt and I flipped it inside out. And I'm in that music video. Cali Roots music for percussion.
Oh my God.
And that was one of those things. They're percussionists in that video. Why they hired a third one is beyond me. But when I got there, the two guys were like, who is this guy? What's he doing here? What's going on? They put me right in the, and in fact, you watch the videos and the guys are like, well, yeah, this guy's like, they're from then on, I became best friends with both those percussionists. It was just, and then they were like, yo, we're coming down to Cabo next week. Do you want to do the drive with us? Because we had drove all the way from Mexico to Monterey. Oh, wow. My partner at the time, me and her, just to be at the Cali Roots and volunteer. And since then, and same thing with her, she does the design, the dresses, and her name is Spirit Locks is what she goes by. And since then, now she's been invited back every year, given her own little VIP booth for the artists to showcase. Yeah, Cali Roots has just been an opening for so many people, but especially the people who are hungry and don't take no for an answer and kill everybody with kindness and respect and love and picking up, sweeping. Literally, I was a volunteer to be there, and it went from being a volunteer to the very next year to signing up. Was it blows my mind.
That's amazing.
Thanks God, there's obviously something happening. Like Vistaprint, freaking freak, like sweeping garbage. This happened. I don't know.
That is, well, it was your persistence, like you said, you gave out 100 cards, so you didn't just, give out 3 cards and be like, that's it, so you pounded the pavement that day, and and look what you got out of it. That's amazing. What a story. I love that.
Yeah. Quick little story on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard recently, but we did the Dreamer album, and then the HIRIE Band made enough earnings to be able to get a big tour bus, and so it was pretty. But we had a big meeting, and this is another one of those underdog moments, and this is not something I really like to talk about, but I think it's important for myself and you and anybody that may tune in to hear this, is that even after touring with them on almost every tour for 3 years, they told me that Trisha's voice was starting to lose her voice, and the bus was pretty full, and they need backup singers, so they asked me to sit aside for these last 2 tours, you know.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
got to imagine like my thank, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And even having the management, they had tears in their eyes as well. And it was really like super respectful that they showed up to the meeting and looked me in my eye and were like, man, Kurty, we want you to know that we love you. We think they're great. And I had a choice at that moment, like you said earlier, to quit, to leave, to get online and post about all my feelings and emotions during that moment, which were probably not the best feelings and emotions, but I'm human and I was experiencing them. So all I decided to do was write a post about love and support, have a good trip, I love you guys, and not knowing if I would ever be on the tour with them again. Sure enough, for Rise Up Florida, Reggae Rise Up Vegas, Cali Roots, all the big festivals, they called me up. Like a couple months later, I kind of felt like I was just sitting out in the cold, not knowing, you know, because everybody kind of like will say, never really know what's going to happen, you know. And that's one of those things too, where I felt persistent. But not only was my persistent, but it was really like calm on the outside while I was nervous and not necessarily freaking out, but having like, you know,
anxious.
Not the best thoughts and feelings. Anxious is a good word. And a couple months before, like, hey, we want to go over some ideas with these bigger festivals that have bigger stages, bigger budget, and we want to bring you out for these ones. And I was like, I almost felt like I was able to kind of breathe, you know, and not to say that all my cards, but that's definitely the project that I've given my all, you know, so much to. Amazing. And, you know, being on the album, considering them, and I know they feel the same way about me, we consider each other more as a family rather than like a business relationship. So it's been cool. It's taught me a lot about business. So the next bands and people that I'm dealing with now are very business, you know. But someone like HIRIE, and also I want to mention Tomorrow's Bad Seeds, they were also on that tour to Mexico, that very first tour. So Tomorrow's Bad Seeds has been the same. Those 2 bands for me are the 2 bands that brought me into the SoCal reggae scene, where a lot, you know, all the rest, 9% were like, no. And my loving, persistent, and kindness, Tomorrow's Bad Seeds and HIRIE were the 2 bands to keep bringing me down to the One Love and bringing me to the dry diggings. You know, HIRIE started to really have momentum. So the momentum with HIRIE was so much more, there was so much more busy with HIRIE over the last 3 years. But whenever Tomorrow's Bad Seeds had a budget, had a bigger stage, also they would call me up. So those 2 bands I consider family, and it's kind of one of those things where I'm not like, you know, business persistent. You know, with these 2 bands, I'm really love and family persistent and want to support them and see them succeed, whether it includes me or not, even though my ego is always trying to like rise to the top. And so it's been really cool. I mostly say this because I feel like a lot of people may or may not be in my situation, but find this opportunity coming up real soon. And I wouldn't really try to business chop with the first big band or momentum band that's really bringing you in, because that within itself is bigger than any monetary value. And still to this day, no matter what happens with those bands, I honestly feel like I just want to support them as a family, as a brother would, and then money comes like second or third. Love and support are like the top, and it's really helped me so much along the way. And a lot of the bands, you know, when we get put to the side, you know, we jump on our social media platform and we start having like a little like temper tantrum or something. But definitely tantrums. But I leave them on the field. I leave them in my bedroom. I'm gonna work out in that through tears and through that kind of stuff. You know, my social media, I choose to be as positive as I can to be inspiring. But I'm a real person dealing with real dramatic, you know, mental, physical, spiritual stuff, like every human, we all do, you know.
Absolutely. And we got to look at wounds and then be like, okay, you know what? Stop the shit. Get out. Come on. Get back in the program again. But no, that's great, because you could have really did some damage if you would have gone out there and said a bunch of negative stuff on your social media, and that could have just ruined the whole chance of ever going back with them.
I think a lot of times we don't even feel in the moment like we just feel our emotions come up, and we can't, say whether it's what we know, but a lot of times, especially a social media platform, it's like, put down the bottle of wine or whatever, and don't necessarily type.
Oh, is that a typo? Oops, I didn't mean to write that. Bite you in the ass.
If you wait a week or two, it's not, most things are not that big of a deal. And even something as dramatic as, divorce and death, which I've been through, all of those things, that they feel like such a big deal, and they are a big deal, but the level of depth and big deal that they feel to us, sometimes if we just blah, 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 like verbal diarrhea or whatever they call it, social diarrhea, whatever they call it, like I just, usually the first emotion that I feel is not always the right emotion, and the more primal and artistic and more bigger heart we have, usually the first emotion is going to be our biggest feeling, and not necessarily, the right one to express. All feelings are loved and accepted, but I think for me especially, I give myself that time to gather my thoughts and be like, okay, this isn't as big a deal, and what I want to express to the world, especially through social media, is my best foot forward. I really want to see my friends, my family, whether I know you or not, like I want to see this world be a better place. So whatever I can do to keep pushing love, but I'm more flawed than anybody I know. So even though I push this love and all this stuff, it's like I still deal with it on a daily basis.
It's like the devil on this side and the angel on that side. It's like, oh, which one's going to win today? But no, we all have that. I mean, and as I think as artists, you are just a passionate person and to begin with. So I think, emotions run hot, and that's just part of our makeup, right? Because like if you're passionate about something, you're going to be passionate when it goes in the opposite direction too. Like I can I don't know, sometimes if I get upset, I'm calm inside, and then all of a sudden, or I'm calm on the outside, but inside I'm just like, and I'm thinking, okay, Domri, nobody could tell that, but my body's going through the motions and my mind's going through the motions. But then when I do let it out, people are like, oh, I didn't know you had that side of you. I'm like, well, we all do, because we're passionate people. And if you're passionate, then, it's just par for the course. But learning, like you said, to control it and have that temperament to say, or even just wise enough to know, like, oh, I can't do that. And like you said, if you have that bottle of wine, or if you're just feeling a little loose, you're like, well, was that saying loose lips sink ships? So, it's just like, all right. But I'm just glad that you said that, because I think people are abusing the social media when it comes to the diarrhea of the mouth, that they're just saying horrible things about people, like not thinking twice about stuff. And it's sad to see that it's like, okay, you know what? People are people, and we all have feelings, and and if you have dirty laundry, get on the phone and tell them to the person that hurt you or whatever, but don't go telling the whole world about it. Some things are meant to be kept private. So
some things are meant to be private for a good reason.
Yes, exactly.
Usually.
Exactly. So let me ask you, I've got a new little segment here. It's called Dig It or Don't Dig It. Are you interested in playing?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So if you like something, you say dig it, and if you don't like it, you don't dig it.
Okay. Cool. I can dig that.
So you can dig that. I like that. Close talkers.
I don't dig it.
Drivers that tailgate.
I don't dig it.
Ripped jeans.
I can dig it.
You can dig it. Facial tattoos.
I can dig it.
People who take a lot of selfies.
I don't dig it.
People talking on their cell phones in indoor places.
I don't dig it.
Sex in unexpected places.
I dig it. Dig it good.
Long nails on women.
I can dig it.
Long nails on men.
I don't dig it.
Thank you for playing that. So tell me, our time is almost up. How can my wonderful drumsters stay in touch with you and follow you and see what's going on in your life?
Yeah. Shoot on Instagram. It's Conga, like Conga, Conga Kurty, Kurty. I have maxed out on my Facebook friends. I think my actual friends are probably like 10, but somehow I got up to 5. So fortunately, I have a little community. Started up a fan page. It's called Conga Kurty and Friends on Facebook, and there's no limit of people that are on that. And we have some Conga Kurty merch, snapbacks and T-shirts and tank tops. We have a bunch of stickers. We do free giveaways all the time, and just try to support positivity.
Awesome. I'll make sure I put those in the show notes so that everybody can check it out and pick up the new album. And I can't wait to see you guys again. And I really hope that you guys will be back in October so that we can get our jam on. And I have a question for you. I know it's kind of on the spot, but do you have any percussion nearby that you can give us a little jingle? Do you want to play us a little something?
Sure.
Cool. Nice. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What kind of drum is that? That's really cool.
I said, pretty funny if I just kept playing for 20 minutes straight. But I was saying, I'm just joking. I wouldn't do that to you.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. Our pleasure. Our pleasure. No, what kind of drum is that? That's really cool looking.
It's a djembe shape, but traditionally the djembes are made out of big trees. Like in Africa, it originates in Africa. But these ones are really cool. These Remo makes this one, and really cool because they don't kill any trees, they don't kill any animals for their skin. It's 100% synthetic. I really do dig the traditional drum. I totally support that for like medicinal traditional reasons. But a lot of people, I don't know, like if you're going to be traveling a lot, these are like super lightweight, super durable. Everything that Remo makes, these are from recycled equipment. And the head is waterproof, made from synthetic recycled equipment as well. So they're a really cool company. I'm hoping to get some kind of endorsement with them because their equipment is everywhere. And they're just super conscious. They're not, they don't feel like they have to go kill a bunch of trees and animals. And like I said, for traditional reasons, for ceremonial reasons, I personally am okay with that. But like the level of just production and killing and slaughtering, I feel needs to stop for sure.
How long have they been making that? Because that's new to me. I didn't even know that was out.
Going on 20 years now.
Really? Oh, wow. I've never seen them in the marketplace. I always see the traditional djembes out there.
Yeah, Guitar Center carries a variety of them. All the Guitar Centers carries the Remos, the djembe, very nice too.
I gotta check that out and play one. Looks like fun. Is it a lot harder to play with the on your hands compared to the traditional drum?
I like my hands much better. I feel much more connected. And percussion was my choice to change to percussion because I was a drum kit player on my first band, Rise and Shine. All through college, I was the drum kit player the entire time. And I dig it, but it's way more difficult for me to play the drum kit. The percussion feels I feel very connected to my hand percussion. It's like a direct connection. I'm not sure what it is, but.
How did you find the transition from the kit to the djembe?
I always felt like, because being the drum kit player, I was always doing my thing, right? Like I'm going out to the ocean or the woods on some random, monkey man trip in the jungle somewhere. And the band canceled shows because the drummer wasn't there. And I was like, well, how about this? I've always wanted to be a percussionist like for the band anyways. And the band, again, they were like, no. So I was persistent. I put a post, everything, and like secretively hired a drummer that came to a live show because my band didn't even want to let anybody rehearse. And I was like, because I had a microphone, I backup vocals, like, okay, I'm gonna take a little break, and for our next 3 songs, I had the drummer practice. He's gonna come up and play these songs. And the band's looking at me like, are you kidding me? And I'm all smiling. He comes up and he just kills it, like nails every part perfect. And the band is like, fuck yeah. It was a college band, so punk rock reggae.
Right.
And from then on out, I played most of the shows, but when I wanted to go on one of my trips, we didn't have to cancel the show. So that was honestly how that kind of came about. But I was playing the first time I really got into it was 15 years old at a big, it's called Rainbow Gathering. It was a big psychedelic fest with all these hippies from all over the country. Day parties and eat acid. And so like
days and days.
And I was like, from then on out, I was like, my drum kit skill transferred to that drum, and I knew from 14 years old that's what I want to do.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really amazing, because I know like some people who play the kit, they don't like playing, any kind of hand instruments, and then there's people who who play the hand instruments, they don't want to play full kit. So it's interesting to see when one goes from one to the other. I like both of them, but I find that like my hands can't handle playing like too long. It's like I think I have arthritis settling in soon. So it's like, but playing the kit, I'm fine, because then it's like, I've got my sticks and it works for me. But I wish I could do that, because it looks more rhythmic. It just feels like you could get into a trance when you're playing that, and it's just it's really cool. But I can't wait to see you guys live again. And Kurty, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it and taking the time out. And if you have anything that you need to let me share with the guys out there watching and listening, please, just shoot me an email or a text or something, and I'll be sure to add it into the show notes. And
right on.
I wish you the best, and I hope you stay safe and well, and I hope to see you in October. Yeah. Thanks. I'll see you soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye. Peace. And to my drumsters out there, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you being here. And don't forget to check the show notes for everything on Conga Kurty so that you can stay in touch and be in the know. And I'm so excited because I finally finished the book. And it's out. It's at 151secrets.com, and I'm selling it for $1 right now because I'm trying to raise some money for a couple of different fundraiser activities here. One is for No Kid Left Hungry, and the other one is for Project Girl, is to help women in human trafficking. So if you can help the efforts, I really appreciate it. Again, it's at 151secrets.com. It's not just an audiobook. You get a bunch of different bonuses with it, and there's a little video on there. So check it out, and I hope to see you on the next call. Until the next time, remember, it's never too late to live the life of your dreams and leave a trailblazing behind you. So rock on and rock out, and I'll catch you on the flip side. If you'd like to have more live interviews, go to www.littledrummergirl.com. That's LALdrummergirl.com.